I wanted to ask a question about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then a lot of that is being reversed, or a lot of corporations are backing away from that, pulling money from Black initiatives. What's your thoughts on the current landscapes of that?
I think it's a great question. And one of the ways that I'm approaching this, and that we're at the chamber, because you're right. I mean, I think sadly enough in America, DEI has become a political football. It's not just a moral imperative that we continue to invest and understand why diversity, equity, and inclusion matters, but there is truly a business case. I mean, you look at McKinsey and their research that companies that are more diverse at the executive team are more profitable. I mean, I'm not making that up. That's data. You look at the workforce challenges and the makeup of the workforce in 2050 and beyond. It's going to be majority minority. So the way I think about that, if we have skills gaps now among these populations, we need to invest in closing those skills gaps today so that they can compete in the future. You look at the data around supply diversity. I mean, the data is clear that minority suppliers are more innovative. They actually create a cost savings for companies. And so the way we lead this is around the business and economic case. I'm trying to stay out of the political and the politics. I get that. But we're trying to advance and continue to advance the business case. In fact, you may or may not be aware, but I mean, that's part of this meeting on this week with the Congressional Black Caucus that, they sent a letter to all the S&P 500 companies wanting to know where are you in reaffirming your commitment to DEI. They're asking questions like, since George Floyd murder, what's up, $400 billion companies pledged or announced. And, they're asking tough questions around accountability in this space. And so it is about how we can all work together to not only reaffirm, but make sure that this work continues, not for the sake of just being the right thing to do, but it's good for our economy. It's good for the workers in the workforce of the future. And when these companies can connect it to supply chains and connect it to access to capital, they also create jobs in the communities in which they exist. So it's all a win-win to me. And that's how we're leading. And that's my message that I preach across the country, that there's a business and economic case, and we can't afford to lose ground in that regard.
For those, my last question to you, Rick, is this. We spoke about China, obviously the importance of Africa. Are there other emerging markets that we should be keeping our eyes on for us the next 5 to 10 years?
Indeed. Well, listen, I just think the world is wide open in areas that perhaps oftentimes we don't think about. But, I spent a lot of time in India. I talked about it earlier. I think even in economies that are having to be rebuilt, whether it's Ukraine, sadly enough, all of what is happening in and around the Middle East. I just think the world is an oyster when it comes to opportunities to do business. It's just that we've not been exposed as much as we should be. And that onus sometimes is on us as much as it is on organizations like the U.S. Chamber, which we're trying to do more of this, is to help us understand and expose our companies and our people to the world. But I do think, yes, I think the continent of Africa, I do think India, China, in spite of the geopolitical and other challenges that exist there. I mean, we have a relationship with China that is checkered and on any given day challenged, but it's interdependent. One country I would tell you that I've had a meeting with the ambassador and I was struck by that's so close to us that we don't think about is Canada, Mexico. I mean, all of these, I think all of these places are just ripe for doing business if we understand, and we got to think out the box as well, and engage and understand and go on these trade missions. And, as we were saying earlier, get exposed. And I think you got to see it to believe it. So go, take your time to go out to these countries and the beauty of technology today, you can experience this stuff online if you do homework and do the research and understanding where to trade, where the investments, what are the emerging economies, and then building the ties, which we can help you with through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So can the U.S. Department of Commerce, that has what's called a Foreign Commercial Service Office Division, and their number one job, your own federal government agency, the U.S. Department of Commerce, is to help you get connected to markets around the world. So it's knowledge, it's being exposed, and connecting all of these dots. And that's one of my goals and what I enjoy most here at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
I appreciate it. My final question for you is for a person who may hear all of this information, they may feel overwhelmed and know not what to do next. Can you tell them like 2 or 3 things they should do starting tonight? Because what I don't want to happen is people be excited about the information and then don't apply it. For the entrepreneurs watching tonight, what are like 2 pieces of advice you would want them to start on tonight as soon as they're done watching?
Yeah, I think, the 2 things. One is, just learn. Don't be overwhelmed. Start somewhere. Again, go to uschamber.com. And the information, the data, just at uschamber.com alone is just invaluable. You don't try to learn everything overnight, but just navigate, just go all across our platform and understand the issues, understand some of the market information that we have at uschamber.com in our international division. And that's a good place to start. I think the second thing is, again, whether it's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce or the local or state chamber, get engaged in the right business organizations that can help you create the networks and the relationships that you need to get that loan, to get that capital, to get on that trade mission, to connect to that CEO or another Black-owned business. But those networks are invaluable. And so, again, whether it's that state chamber, that local chamber, or the U.S. chamber, think about your ability to invest in a membership. And when you invest in that membership, you got to show up. If you show up and are intentional in your strategy and what you want from it, it works. It really does work. So get that knowledge and information, uschamber.com, all other sources, read, learn, don't become overwhelmed. And then take that time to rethink where you put your time and resources in terms of your memberships. And these organizations are very effective as long as you do utilize them, you show up and take advantage and leverage these relationships.
Rick, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it. Any last words you would like to say before heading out?
No, listen, thank you for what you do. Again, I watch you from a distance. I'm really proud of everything you do, and to the extent there are partnerships that we can leverage and create with the U.S. Chamber and our domestic and global network. Count me in. I wear this hat proudly. I spent a lot of time in Tulsa. I do believe that, we can create what used to be the Black Wall Streets all across America. I think being intentional and working together and walking together in this work is not just that we have to do it because we want to, but we have to do it out of necessity.